Have you ever felt that tightness in your chest, your mind racing, imagining scenarios that may never happen? Have you ever been overwhelmed by thoughts about the future, afraid of losing control or not being able to handle life's pressures? If so, you're not alone. Anxiety is one of the greatest afflictions of our time. But what if I told you there's an ancient philosophy that can help you conquer it? Today, we're going to dive into Stoic wisdom and discover together how this practical philosophy can transform your relationship with anxiety and maybe even change your life. What is Stoicism and why does it matter? First of all, we need to understand what is Stoicism. Created over 2,000 years ago, Stoicism is a philosophy of life that was born in Greece but flourished in Rome with names like Seneca, Epictetus, and Emperor Marcus Aurelius. And why does it matter? Because, although ancient, Stoicism speaks directly to the core of our modern problems. Anxiety, this state of constant restlessness, arises when we try to control what is beyond our reach. And Stoicism teaches precisely the opposite, to focus only on what we can control. Sounds simple, right? But is it the first pillar? What is within your control? Imagine this scenario. You're waiting for an important answer, a job, a test result, a message, and your mind doesn't stop creating hypotheses. What if it goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? These thoughts drain your energy, steal your peace, and fuel your anxiety. Now, stop and think. Can you control the outcome? No. Can you control other people's decisions? Also no. But there is something you can always control, your attitude. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them." This is the first Stoic antidote to anxiety, clearly separating what depends on you from what doesn't. When you focus on what's outside your control, you feed anxiety. But when you focus on your conduct, your preparation, your emotional response, you regain power over yourself. And I ask you, how many times in your life have you suffered over something that never happened? How many times have you been your own worst enemy? The second pillar, accepting fate. Stoicism goes beyond simply focusing on what is within your reach. It also proposes a powerful concept, amor fati, in Latin, love of fate. This means accepting with an open heart everything that happens, whether good or bad. Not as resignation, but as trust that every event is a necessary part of your journey. Seneca said, "Accept everything that happens gladly. Nothing happens contrary to nature's will." See, it's not about being passive, but about understanding that fighting against what we cannot change is useless and exhausting. Acceptance is not giving up, but realizing there's a greater order, often beyond our understanding. When you embrace this idea, anxiety loses its grip, because you stop fighting the inevitable. You can't stop the rain, but you can learn to dance in it. The third pillar, the daily practice of tranquility. Stoicism isn't just a set of ideas. It's a practice, a discipline. And here's another powerful secret. You train your mind to resist anxiety. How? Through mental exercises that the Stoics practice daily. Let me share some with you now. Premeditation of evils. Instead of avoiding, thinking about problems, calmly imagine the worst that could happen. Not to despair, but to prepare. That way you reduce the emotional impact if the worst comes, and often realize the monster isn't as scary as it seemed. Stoic journaling. Every night write down the events of the day, reflecting on how you reacted. What was within your control? What wasn't? How could you have responded better? This habit creates clarity and strengthens your ability to face challenges. Memento mori. Remember your mortality. It may seem grim, but in fact it's liberating. When you remember that life is finite, you realize it's not worth wasting it on pointless worries. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and 1. of the greatest Stoics, wrote to himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." See how this thought helps us step out of the whirlwind of anxiety and focus on what truly matters. Anxiety is an invitation to transformation. Now stop for a moment and reflect. Could anxiety, as painful as it is, be an invitation to change? Stoicism invites us to look inward and realize that anxiety is a sign. Something in our worldview needs to be adjusted. Maybe we're trying to control too much, or refusing to accept what doesn't depend on us. Maybe we're forgetting to live in the present, trapped in future fears. Stoicism is a call to live with more wisdom, courage, and tranquility. And here's a hard but liberating truth. No one will free you from anxiety except yourself. And the path to this doesn't lie in miracle cures or quick fixes, but in constant practice, self-knowledge, and a change in perspective. How to apply this to your life right now? After all this, you might be wondering, okay, but where do I start? Start with small steps. Tonight before bed, reflect, what is causing me anxiety? And for each worry, ask yourself, can I control this? If the answer is yes, act. If the answer is no, accept and let go. Tomorrow when you wake up, remember, your mission is to do your best with what's within your reach, nothing more. And whenever you feel anxiety creeping in, take a deep breath and repeat to yourself, I only control my actions, not the outcomes. This simple mantra can be your stoic shield, your safe harbor amidst life's storms. Victory over anxiety is not the absence of fear, but mastery over it. Remember, overcoming anxiety doesn't mean never feeling fear or insecurity again. That would be impossible and inhuman. Overcoming anxiety means not letting it paralyze you or dictate the rules of your life. It means having the courage to live fully, despite it. And if you've made it this far, know this: you're already taking a giant step toward your freedom. Stoicism is an invitation to live with more lightness, clarity, and purpose. And believe me, the more you practice, the less a hostage of anxiety you become. Before you go, one final invitation. If this video helped you in any way, if it made you reflect, leave your like. It helps us continue creating content that can transform lives just as it's transforming yours. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now. Here, we always bring deep reflections, practical tools, and paths for a life with more meaning and less suffering. And don't forget, check out the other videos on the channel. There's much more about Stoicism, mental health, and personal development waiting for you. Remember, you don't control everything, but you control enough to build your freedom. See you in the next video.